Hello guys, we finally got the remasters for Tomb Raider 4, 5 and 6. So of course the first game I had to try was Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness. If you are playing these games for the first time, I recommend starting with the fourth game and playing them in order. Unlike the previous trilogy, these three games have connected stories, and in this video I will only talk about Angel of Darkness, and I will probably make a separate video for the other two games. Like many other fans, I was super excited and curious about Angel of the Darkness, but when I started, it took me almost 2 hours just to get through the first two levels. I was trying out the modern controls, but I soon realized it was best to switch back to the tank controls. At first I thought maybe I was the problem, but then other people told me they were also having trouble with them, so I guess maybe they need to be fixed. But I also saw people saying that they were good, so I don't know. Sometimes my game just randomly crashes and I kinda cry inside because I didn't save. It usually happens when a fade effect plays. Moving on to the graphics, I liked how other characters' appearances were improved. My favorite changes are Lara and Curtis. However, there are other characters I'm still unsure about, like Carvier and Heckart. I'm not sure if I like the new design, I'm still getting used to it. Some characters for some reason didn't get any upgrades, like the man we meet before Janice, the doorman, the boxing trainer, Pierre's girlfriend, and Gutterson. Gutterson especially deserved an upgrade since he appears multiple times and is the only member of the Cabal who looks the same. Even the in-game enemies had their faces improved, so I was disappointed that not all the characters were updated, and I don't understand why. Everyone loves Janice, so I expect her to look different, even though she's a minor character. I was surprised that her cleavage is more exposed now, because lately the games try to not make very sexy characters, let's say, like that. Through the levels you can now clearly see details that were previously pixelated. Besides that, the graphics haven't changed drastically. Some places like the Louvre look beautiful because you can see the details in the paintings. However, in other levels I sometimes don't even notice whether I'm looking at the old or new graphics because they look almost the same. In some cases I actually prefer the original textures over the remastered ones. In some cases, okay, not all of them. Now let's talk about the new content that was added. I will also compare it to the fan-made demo and the original version. They restored the training area at the beginning, which I thought would be an essential part of the level, like you really needed to go through that. That's what I mean. But it's actually an optional path now, and it was cool to explore, and I like that when you grab the key in the other optional path that was once the main one, you can see the police car from there. I thought it was odd that in this part of the first level they removed the stairs, forcing you to climb up instead. It stood out because they didn't change anything else like this through the game. I remember thinking, where are the stairs? I should still be able to go up, and I was trying to check if the chocolate was still there to be picked up, and I saw it. I was like, okay, so there's probably a way and I'm not seeing it. Then I discovered, like, oh wow, this is different. So that actually made me think like, oh, we are gonna get like different ways of interacting with stuff in the levels, but no. In the second level, I was surprised by how quickly the police entered the building. After several attempts, I realized it was pointless to use the furniture to delay them. It didn't seem to make any difference. Also, by the end of the level, we get a key for a room on the second floor, but I couldn't reach it because the police were right next to it. I'm not sure if I did something wrong. In the original game, the police didn't go upstairs, but in the fan demo they did. However, I don't remember having this problem there. Also, in the demo, that room was mandatory because it contained the key for the exit, instead of just finding two keys right next to each other, like in this version. I preferred the demo's approach, it made more sense to me. A very cool new feature is that you can now buy items from Rens and the herbalist. I was curious about the antidote, since there weren't any enemies that poisoned Lara. Later I discovered that the bats in the Tomb of Ancients and the gas in the Louvre have this effect on her. And also during the boss fight, her attacks also poison Curtis. In Cafe Metro, you can now talk to Curtis, which is cool, though it was also included in the fan demo, so it didn't really surprise me, it wasn't like something new. Through the game, they restored several lines, as expected. In the fan-made demo, after leaving the Serpent Rouge, Lara finds a body and sees Curtis living on a bike.
Well, well, someone's been very careless. See Paris and die.
This makes more sense and even appears in one of the developer's notes. I was disappointed that the remaster kept the original version where nothing happens. We now get the dual pistols in the Louvre before Carvier's office, and we actually keep them. And later in the game, people were worried that you wouldn't get them again, but you do after Werner's apartment. And they didn't give an explanation why do you suddenly have all the weapons, but I think they probably went with the explanation from the notes of the developers that they said that since the cleaner obviously had a lot of guns because he was assassin, Lara would find a lot of guns inside the car. The new look for the daggers and Eckhart's gloves is really cool, I really liked it, but still, they changed these little details and they didn't change Gunderson's face. And also the sleeper still looks the same. In Von Croy's apartment, I had no idea that to trigger the cleaner I needed to check Werner's walking stick before we just had to pick it up. And I wonder, why does Bouchard have a gun in the update version? When you change to the original one, it disappears. What really made me happy was finally being able to use the Shirugai blade. It's fun to have another weapon for Curtis. Being able to finally use this blade is it's special. It was something that I always wanted to do, and I imagine that there were also other hardcore fans that wanted to use that. The Proto-Nephiline used to pretend to be dead and then get back up during the fight, but now it doesn't do that anymore. I wonder why they changed it. Maybe players found it annoying. I was also happy that they improved the next two boss battles. For example, Boa's second form now actually does something and has more attacks. In the old version, she would just stand there while you shoot at her. You could see her attacks, she would attack you, but you would have to wait for her to decide to attack you, and it took some time. The Eckhart boss fight was also kind of a joke because you could just lie on the floor to avoid all his attacks, but now he attacks both up and down and even makes pieces of the ceiling fall sometimes. Usually it's before he does the clones, I think. Yeah, I think so. This makes the fight more interesting. I also felt that Karel threw more power rays than before, and certain areas of the game had more enemies than usual. I was disappointed that they didn't include an extra cutscene that seems to appear in the versions of the original game, where Lara realizes that she has to do something to the sleeper and Karel gets worried. Also, for some reason, the final cutscene didn't play for me. I was like, what? It went straight to the credits. Overall, I was expecting more. They only hated a few things that had been cut. I also ended up comparing it to the fan made demo because that version changed small details that made you play differently than in the original. For example, a section in Vasley's office, it's different. The demo claims that it ends after you leave Ren's shop, but I kept playing and discovering new additions, which confused me but also made me happy. I also felt like I heard more lines. For example, in Werner's apartment, we hear a radio playing with the news.
Newsflash. The monstrum has struck again. This time the victim was Professor Margot Carvier of the Department of Medieval and Renaissance Studies at the Louvre. Her body was discovered yesterday, and police want to interview a woman seen leaving the premises around the time of the murder. She is described as Caucasian, brunette, about 1.8 meters and slim build. When last seen, she was wearing jeans, dark jacket and a ponytail. This follows the similar murder of Professor Werner von Croy, a world-renowned archaeologist murdered 2 days ago in his apartment.
The way they were like talking, they were giving us hope that we would get like a lot of things that were cut, and it's not really the case. But at least we got some stuff. Angel of the Darkness doesn't feel like fixed in terms of controls, you know, because that's very important for like to get new fans because the game needs it. But it will probably be improved with updates, but I don't know how far they can go with just updates, and I don't think it's a good practice to release a game that clearly needs improvement and then rely on updates later. After the initial hype dies down, some people will likely lose interest and won't replay or try again, you know? So I think it's important to have a decent game on release. Of course, those aren't the hardcore Tomb Raider fans, the ones that give up very early and fast, but they still matter. After all, the company needs sales to have money to make more games. I would love to know your opinion about these remasters, especially Angel of the Darkness, because I think there was like a special hype for this game because a lot of people thought it would be fixed this time. But yeah, share your opinion about these games, and don't forget to leave a like to help the video reach more people, and subscribe for more videos. Until next time, bye bye!